Alright, so we're going to switch gears from prisms, and now we're going to go into rectangular pyramids. Now remember, we can call it a rectangular pyramid, and it can also be a square pyramid, so just know that those are interchangeable depending on what the base is. So your goal for today is I can determine the surface area of rectangular, and I'm going to write or square prisms. Alright? Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So this is, you should know what it looks like, but this is a rectangular or square pyramid, and because it comes to one vertex at the top, and it has other vertex, but it comes to a vertex at the top, that's how you know it's a pyramid. A prism has 2 vertexes or 4 vertexes or a long bar across the top. So it comes to one vertex at the top. Think of Egyptian pyramids, stuff like that, okay? And then here is the net of the pyramid opened up. It kind of looks like maybe a little bit like a star, okay, or a fortune teller. So as a reminder, again, the surface area is the sum, which means adding, of the area of all of the faces of the shape. Now, this is the base, and then these are going to be the faces. Remember, the base is just simply what does the shape sit on top of, okay? So when I put it down, what is the shape that's touching the surface? All right? Okay, now the same with triangular prisms. There is a super fancy formula for pyramids, but it's entirely too complicated to use. It's a lot simpler if we just find the area of each part of the shape and add them all up. Now there is one very important note with pyramids, and so please take out your blue sheet and pause the video if you need to. So we're going to write this down. So for the formula, it's very basic. It's the area of the faces plus the area of the bases. So same as triangular prism, we're going to call it faces plus bases or base plus face. But with triangular prisms, there is something called the height, and then there is something called the slant height. And it's very difficult to sort of explain, and I'm going to try and see if I can draw a picture of what the height would be. I have a picture of what the slant height would be. So if this here is a pyramid, it's a little bit of a weird pyramid, okay? So picture this as a pyramid. Now if I went from the top of the vertex all the way down to the center of the base, okay? That would be the height. It's from top to bottom. It's not slanted. It's the height of the entire prism. We do not want that. And the reason why we don't want that is because we want something called the slant height. The slant height is going to be the height of the actual triangle face. If we used the actual height of the pyramid, we would not be finding the height of the triangle face. We'd just be finding the height of the actual pyramid, and that's not what we want. So you're going to have some problems where it gives you the slant height and the height, and you need to know which one to use. And I have some examples that we're going to go over. But again, remember, you want the height of that actual triangle, okay, and it's called the slant height. You do not want the height of the prism. Alright, so let's jump into it with the first example. And you can see here before I get started how this height right here is measuring the height of the actual triangle. If it gave you the height of the pyramid, it would look like this. And again, we don't want that. Okay? So our surface area formula is base plus faces. And with a pyramid, there's only one base because it just sits on one side. Okay, I always like to start at the base because I find it to be the easiest thing. In this case, it's a square because it's 7 by 7. 7 times 7 is 49, and then we're going to have centimeters squared. Okay, easy enough. Now we have 4 triangles across the sides. They are not always going to be equal, but sometimes they are. Here's how you know. If the bottom is a square, all of the triangles are going to be equal. So you just find one, and then that's the answer for all 4. If it's a rectangle, they're not all going to be equal, and we'll look at examples of that. So here for my triangle, I have a base of 7, and I have a height of 9. So 9 times 7 is going to be 63, and then you either divide that by 2 or do times 0.5, and you're going to get 31.5 centimeters squared. And because this is a square base, I know that that is the measurement for all of the triangular sides. And so the only thing I do now is I simply add them all up. And when you add them all up, you should get 175 centimeters squared. All right, let's look at another example. So here again, it looks like we have a square bottom, and the way that I know is because it has a height of 3 and it also has a base of 3. And here again, it's giving me the slant height, and you'll see it because it's right along the triangle. It's not going from up here to in the middle of the base. So my formula is going to be base plus faces. So I always like to start with my base. 3 times 3 is going to be 9 inches squared. And now for my faces, I know that they're all going to be the same because my bottom is a square. So it has a base of 3 and a height of 4.5. So I'm going to do 3 times 4.5, and I like to do times 0.5, but you can do divided by 2. And that's going to give me 6.75 inches squared. And I know that that's going to be the same for all of them because I have a square base. Now the only thing I have left to do is add them all up. And that's going to give me 36 inches squared. All right, a little bit easier than triangular prisms, I think. Example number 3. Okay, so in this case here, I also have a square bottom because I have 16 by 16. So let me go ahead and write my formula. It's going to be base plus faces. So 16 times 16 is going to be 256 feet squared. Now let me look at my triangle. Here I have my slant height. So I have a base of 16 and a slant height of 12. So 16 times 12 times 0.5, or if you like to do divided by 2, that's fine. So 96 feet squared. And I know that they're all going to be the same because the bottom is a square. And now I just need to go ahead and add them all together. And you should get 640 feet squared. All right, you go ahead and try this first one. Alright, if you're not done, go ahead and hit pause. If you are done, let's go over it. So you should have noticed here that the base of it is a square. So 25 times 25 is going to give you 625. And then since it's a square, you know that the rest of your faces are going to be the same. And so you have a slant height of 32, a base of 25. So 32 times 25 times 0.5 or divided by 2 should give you 400. When you add all of those up, you should get 2,225 feet squared. All right, go ahead and try this one. Alright, this one wasn't too bad because it gave you a net that you could write on. So if you're not done, go ahead and pause and finish up, and if you are done, let's talk about it. So the base here has a height of 6 and also a length of 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Now when we talk about the triangle, it had a slant height of 12 and it had a base of 6. So 6 times 12 is 72, and then when you divide that in half or multiply times 0.5, it'll also give you 36. So all the bases and the faces had the same area, and when you add them all up, you should have gotten 180 centimeters squared. Alright, this last one I actually want to do with you because it is a rectangular base. I thought I had more examples of that, but that's okay. So we're going to actually do this one together. So the formula is the same. We're going to do base plus faces. And as always, I'm actually going to start with the base first. So here I have a length of 8 and a height of 6, which is going to give me 48. So I have 48 centimeters squared. Now, on this side, I have a slant height of 12, and I know that this base here is going to be the same as this, so it's going to be 6. So 6 times 12 times 0.5, and that's going to give me 36. And this side is going to be the exact same thing, because with rectangles, how opposites are the same, that's going to be the case when we're doing pyramids too. So 36 centimeters squared, 36 centimeters squared. Now with this guy, this is 8 centimeters, so this is also going to be 8 centimeters. So we're going to do 8 times 14 times 0.5, and that's going to give me 56, and this side is going to be the exact same thing as well. So I have 56 centimeters squared and 56 centimeters squared. Now I simply have to add them all up. And when you do that, you should get 232 centimeters squared. So again, same process as the square pyramids. You just have to be a little bit more careful because the opposite sides are going to be the same. Alright, that is the end of this video. Remember that you can always rewind to go back over it. Always show your work and ask me questions in class.